Why are you doing all the right things but still not healing? If you've been using a brain-based approach to treat your chronic pain and symptoms and you're not seeing results, this might be why. Now, most people, when they don't see results and their symptoms aren't reducing, they assume, oh, I'm using the wrong strategies. But this is often not the case. What most people are actually missing that is stalling out their healing is balance. There are 3 core pillars your nervous system needs to feel safe. And if even one is missing, your healing is going to stall out. So in today's video, I'm going to break down what these 3 core pillars are and how you can start to utilize them together to move your healing forward. Welcome to my channel. My name's Tanner Murtagh, and I am a therapist who helps people recover from chronic pain and chronic symptoms using a brain-based approach. Now, over the last 5 years, my therapy practice and digital course has helped hundreds of people recover. So please know this is possible. Now, many forms of chronic pain and symptoms are neuroplastic. Now, what this means is there's no damage or disease in your body that is triggering your chronic symptoms. They're occurring because your brain and nervous system has been stuck in this heightened state of danger. So if danger is the cause of your chronic symptoms, then safety is the cure. And to ultimately heal your chronic symptoms, you need to create safety in these 3 core pillars. Let's dive in. Number 1, cognitive. Creating new beliefs and self-talk based in safety is essential to heal. Now, we need to create cognitive safety. This is essential, people. Now, there's a number of ways we can do this. The first thing you need to be doing is you need to understand the pain and symptom neuroscience. You need to understand how symptoms are neuroplastic, meaning that your brain is generating pain, fatigue, dizziness, or other chronic symptoms, even though your body is healthy and capable. This is essential. You need to understand that all these symptoms can occur even though your body is healthy. Now, after we start to understand that, we need to come to the understanding that neuroplastic symptoms are real. People often assume, oh, if my body's healthy and my symptoms are neuroplastic, they're just all in my head and made up. No, this is not the case. Brain scans in studies show that neuroplastic symptoms are felt just as if your body was actually damaged. So if you break your arm, yeah, you're going to feel pain. But neuroplastic pain can be just as intense. That's really essential to understand. Don't invalidate your symptoms. That's the last thing I want people to do. So you need to understand pain and symptom neuroscience, the science of neuroplastic symptoms, that they're real. And lastly, you need to understand that they are reversible, that this is possible using a brain-based approach. But we need to stop treating the physical body and start to treat the brain and nervous system and create safety. And by understanding all of this, you are already creating cognitive safety in your brain. Next, you need to self-assess that your symptoms are neuroplastic. There are criteria for neuroplastic pain that in my first therapy session with every client, I go through because I'm helping them self-assess what is the likeliness that my symptoms are neuroplastic. When I was healing my chronic pain, this is one of the first things I did. I had this huge list of all the ways I related to these criteria, all the signs that my symptoms were in fact neuroplastic. And I read this every single day for the first couple of months because I wanted to pepper my brain to understand that my body was healthy and my symptoms are neuroplastic and they were reversible. And so I strongly recommend you go through the criteria for neuroplastic pain and symptoms and write out how you relate. Now, I have a video where I go through all the criteria. So I'm going to put that video link down below. Make sure you watch that after this video and write down how you relate to these criteria. So, pain and symptom neuroscience. We start to self-assess that our symptoms are neuroplastic. Now, by doing these two things, you are starting to change the belief system about your body and about your symptoms. And we're shifting that belief system from being a state of danger to being in a state of safety. We understand our brain's generating pain and symptoms, and it can unlearn pain and symptoms. This creates a new belief system that's going to give you a burst of safety and move you towards healing. Now, lastly, one thing that I tell people to work at every single day is shift from using danger self-talk about your body and your symptoms to using safe self-talk about your body and symptoms. There needs to be a shift from danger self-talk to safe self-talk. Now, danger self-talk is a lot of negative thoughts that we have about our body and symptoms. My symptoms are permanent. They're never going to go away. I can't handle this symptom level. I'm never going to be able to work again. Life is going to be terrible. If you continue to think in this way, you are bathing your brain in danger. Now, this shift isn't going to be instantaneous. It's going to take a lot of work. But we want to start using safe self-talk. Remind yourself of your neuroplastic evidence that your symptoms are in fact neuroplastic. Remind yourself this is just a sensation. Your body is healthy and capable, and this sensation will eventually pass. I also strongly recommend people tell themselves, by using this healing approach, this brain-based approach, over time, I will get better. And so find some safe self-talk that lands for you. You don't want to have it to be so extreme that you don't believe it in any way. But even if you believe it like 40 to 50%, that's good enough. You're not going to fully believe it at first, but it will land better and better over time. And so this is how you create cognitive safety. And this is a very essential step in healing your chronic symptoms. Number 2, somatic. Feeling sensations is the path to greater health and wellness. Now we shift to creating somatic safety in your nervous system. Now, in my approach, I teach people embodiment practices. Now, what embodiment practices entail is getting exposure to attending to unpleasant sensations inside. So you're dropping into your body towards sensations that feel uncomfortable, and you're learning to sit with them, describe them, explore them, and deepen your connection. We need this exposure to dropping in and being with these sensations instead of just distracting ourselves all the time or running away and avoiding them. The exposure is going to help you create safety with them. So you can do embodiment practices and get that exposure to your pain, to your physical symptoms, to difficult emotions, or to nervous system states like fight, flight, fawn, freeze, or shutdown. All of these are essential to heal. Don't just do embodiment practices on your pain. Do them with emotions and with nervous system states. And now, as you're getting that exposure to sensations, you're creating safety as you attend to them. So I teach people internal safety signals, such as breath work, present moment sensing, somatic movements, tapping or somatic massage, visualization, or safe self-talk. So people are getting the exposure to the unpleasant sensations, and they're using the safety signals within that same practice to create safety with them. And what you're going to find is by doing this, your brain will start to change its relationship to unpleasant sensations inside. It will stop fearing them. It will stop feeling in despair about them or feeling frustrated about them. And instead, you're going to be able to respond to unpleasant sensations with a little bit more calmness, a little bit more safety, and that will build and build more over time. You'll stop resisting or distracting yourself, and you'll feel okay being in your body with them. And by doing this consistently, this starts to desensitize your brain and nervous system. And what that means is that over time, your pain and symptoms will start to reduce. It will not be instantaneous. You cannot expect to do this for a week and just heal years of pain and symptoms. You're going to have to do this consistently, week by week, over several months. But this is how we create somatic safety. And a lot of my approach probably prioritizes somatic safety the most. I focus on cognitive and behavioral as well, but I spend probably the most time on somatic safety when I'm working with clients or when I'm working with people in my digital course. So make sure you are prioritizing this. Number 3, behavioral. Your brain can learn safety based on the actions you take. Now, when people have debilitating chronic pain or symptoms, they develop what I call a pain or symptom rule book. Now, your rule book is made up of things you do or don't do because you think it's going to keep your pain low or prevent a flare-up. So there's do rules and don't do rules. And I want to be clear, both are forms of avoidance. So do rules. I've worked with many people where they have to stretch first thing in the morning for 25 minutes, a very specific way. Otherwise, their pain or symptoms are going to increase. They have to eat very specific foods or diets. They have to go to physiotherapy 4 times a week. They have to go to the steam room 3 times a week. Now, what happens is people's life gets really rigid because they have all this system of do rules that they must do, otherwise their symptoms will increase. Now, don't do rules are the things you don't do in order to keep your pain or symptoms low. This could include don't walk more than 10 minutes. Don't sit on certain chairs. Don't be social for too long. I'm only allowed to be social once a week. Don't be on screens. So people have all these don't do rules. And for some people, their rule book is massive. And this has major consequences because if your pain and symptoms are neuroplastic, the rules are incorrect. All these things you do or don't do to keep your symptoms low, it's actually incorrect. All that's happened is your brain has made these associations. Like for myself, my brain had an association. If I walk more than 10 minutes, pain's going to get triggered. And so I never let myself walk more than 10 minutes. And so my brain learned, walking more than 10 minutes is really dangerous. So every time I would do that, it would fire pain. The rules are incorrect. That's really essential to understand. Your brain has just made mistaken associations. But if you keep following the rules rigidly, your life's going to stay really small and your symptoms aren't going to budge. Avoidance kills progress more than anything else in a brain-based approach, in my opinion. And so what people will do at first is they tell their brain they're safe all day. They fire off safe self-talk repetitively at themselves. But telling your brain it's safe is not enough to heal. You need to show your brain it's safe. And how do I do that? Well, part of it is in the somatic safety, using embodiment practices. But we also start to show our brain we're safe by breaking the rules. Now you need to do this slowly and gradually. At first I did this with sitting on couches and walking more than 10 minutes because I really feared those things. So I slowly started to give myself exposure to breaking these rules, to walking a little bit longer. And after that settled, a couple weeks later, a little bit longer. I sat in my armchair for I think it was like 5 or 10 minutes at first, but after a few months, I could sit in there for a whole movie and I was fine because I was giving my brain new experiences that we don't need to avoid this stuff anymore. Our body is healthy and capable and we can approach this. But again, do this slowly and gradually and don't approach breaking one of your rules during a flare. Be reasonable. That's just going to be too much. You have to understand when you're breaking the rules, your brain's going to view that as quite threatening. So don't do it during a huge flare-up. Don't do it during a panic attack. Don't do it at your most depressed point in the week. Be reasonable. because as we break the rules, you are going to get some pain and symptoms. That's normal, but we don't want it to be, super high because we're not going to be able to tolerate it. So you kind of have to find your baseline of how small you start to break your rules that you can tolerate. But this is how we use behavioral actions to create safety. Now, the other thing is just how you live life. You need to live life differently to create safety. Oftentimes, people can't go back to the way they were living before their pain and symptoms started because it was laced with danger. They were living in a way that wasn't sustainable, created a lot of dysregulation. So as you're living life, you need to value purposeful action, taking actions in your career, in your hobbies, in your family life that create purpose and meaning. You need to value play, being playful every single day. You need to value stillness. All human beings need some stillness each and every day to stay regulated. And lastly, you need to value close connection. This could be with a pet. This could be with someone you met at a coffee shop. This could be cuddling with your partner. But by doing all these things, you can create a life that creates safety. And these are behavioral actions that are going to help you heal. By balancing your healing work in all three of these core pillars, your brain and nervous system is going to feel safer and safer. And as this happens, pain and symptoms will start to reduce. Up next, watch my video on safe self-talk to focus on the cognitive pillar, starting to create some of that cognitive safety. So in this video, I give a tutorial of how you can design your own safe self-talk and start to use it every day. So I'll put the video link down below, and I'll talk to you all soon. Take care.